Positions 1, 4, and 7 were an area code. Didn't it make sense to look at positions 2, 5, and 8 for the exchange? I started scribbling again. 243-049-2760 equals 202. 243-049-2760 equals 447. 243-049-2760 equals 3960. 202-447-3960. Next question. Was 447 an actual DC exchange? I grabbed the phone book and found out that it was. This was starting to feel like the first good day of my investigation. A very good day. Once I deciphered everything I had so far, I called a good friend at the phone company, Esperanza Cruz. I knew that the reverse directories we used at work were only good for listed numbers. It took Esperanza maybe 15 seconds to find the first listing. Okay, now you got me curious, she said. This one is for Ryan Willoughby, unlisted. What's he done, other than being a walking, talking stiff? I was surprised, but not shocked. Ryan Willoughby was the 6 o'clock anchor for a network TV affiliate here in the Washington area. Esperanza, if you and I were actually having this conversation, I could tell you. But given as how we never spoke today... Yeah, story of my life, Alex. What's the next number? In a few minutes, I had a list of 15 names. 6 of them were familiar to me, including a sitting congressman, a professional football player, and the CEO of a high-profile energy consulting firm in town. This thing was starting to bubble over, and not in a good way. When I thought about how these men knew Caroline, it made me sick, physically ill. My next call was to Bree. She recognized 2 more of the names. One was a partner at Brainerd & Truss, a political PR firm on the Hill, and it turned out that Randy Varick, who was the mayor's press secretary, was a woman. Things are about to get real nasty around here, Bree said. These are high-resource people, and I'm afraid they're going to push back hard. Let them push, I said. We'll be ready for them. In fact, I'm going to make my first call right now. In person. Chapter 18. High-resource people, and apparently a lot of them were involved. What was this about? And how had it led to the death of Caroline Cross? Where else would it lead? It took me less than 15 minutes to get from the Daily building on Indiana up to Channel 9's offices on Wisconsin. By the time I got there, I hadn't cooled down one bit. My badge got me past the guard in the lobby, then up to a receptionist on the 3rd floor. A big number 9 hung on the wall behind her, along with poster-sized headshots of their news team. I showed my badge and pointed at the wall. I'm looking for him. She pushed a button without taking her eyes off me. Judy, I've got a police officer out here for Ryan. She covered the receiver and spoke to me. What is this regarding? Tell him I'll be happy to share that information with anyone who wants to listen if he and I aren't face-to-face in the next 2 minutes. About 90 seconds later, I was ushered past reception, past the news studio entrance, and into a hall of windowed offices someplace in the back. Ryan Willoughby was waiting for me, looking like his tie was a little too tight. I'd seen him dozens of times delivering the news, but now all that polished blonde congeniality of his was nowhere in sight. What the hell is this about? He asked me after he closed the door. You come barging in here like Elliot Ness or Rudolph Giuliani back in his prosecutor days. I held up a picture of Caroline. It's about her, I said in the quietest voice I could manage. It took him a second, but I saw a flash of recognition on his face, then a fast recovery. He was brighter than he seemed. Pretty girl. Who is she? Are you saying you've never seen her before? He laughed defensively, and a little more of the anchor speak came into his voice. "Do I need a lawyer here?" "We found your phone number in her apartment. She was murdered." "I'm sorry about that, the girl's murder. A lot of people have my number, or they can get it." "A lot of call girls?" I asked. "Listen, I don't know what you want with me, but this is obviously some kind of mistake." Whatever he was publicly, this guy was nothing but a scumbag to me now. It was clear he didn't care about Caroline and what had happened to her. "She was 24, I said. I held up the picture again. "Someone took bites out of her, probably raped her before they killed her. Then they put her body through a wood chipper. We found what was left of her, the remains, in a plastic bag being transported by a mob guy." Why are you telling me this? I don't know this girl." I looked at my watch. "I'm going to offer you a deal, Ryan. The terms are good for the next 30 seconds. You tell me how you found out about her right now, and I leave your name out of my investigation, unless, of course, you're guilty of something a lot more damaging than procuring." "Is that a threat?" 20 seconds. "Even if I had any idea what you were talking about, how do I know you are who you say you are?" "You don't." 15 seconds. "Excuse me, detective, but you can go to hell." My hand was cocked, but I caught myself. Willoughby flinched and took a step back. "Get out of my office unless you want me to have you thrown out." I waited until the full 30 seconds were up. "I'll see you on the news," I said. "Trust me, you won't be the one delivering it." Chapter 19.
20 miles of thick, old-growth Virginia forest separated Remy Williams's cabin from pretty much everything else in the world. It was a pristine bit of wilderness with all the privacy he could ever want. A person could scream all night long out here and never be heard. Not that there ever was much screaming or carrying on out here. Remy appreciated efficiency, and he was good at what he did. Disposal. The thing he didn't like was surprises, like the bright headlights that raked back and forth over his cabin window just after darkness fell that night. In a few seconds, he was out the back door with one of the 3 Remington 870 shotguns he kept around for exactly this reason: uninvited visitors. He hustled over to the side of the cabin and took up a position with a perfect view of the dark-colored sedan that was just coming to a stop out front. He saw that the vehicle was a Pontiac, either black or dark blue. 2 men got out. "Anybody home?" one of them called. The voice was familiar, but Remy kept the Remington on his hip anyway. "What are you doing out here?" he yelled to them. "Nobody called ahead." Their shadows turned toward him in the dark. "Relax, Remy. We found him." "Alive?" "At the moment." Remy slowly came around to the porch and traded the shotgun for a battery-powered lantern, which he lit. "What about the other one, the girl who run off?" "Still working on it," said the cocky one, the white guy. Remy didn't know either of their names and didn't want to. He knew the Spick was the smart one, though, and the most dangerous. Silent but deadly all the way. He walked to the back of the car and thumped on the trunk with his lantern. "Pop it."
Chapter 20.
The young punk inside was naked as a newborn, half wrapped in a soiled bedsheet with a double dose of duct tape twisted across his mouth. As soon as he laid eyes on Remy, he started scrambling around like there was somewhere inside that trunk he could go and hide. Why in hell's he not wearing anything? What's the point in that? He was banging some girl when we found him, and she's been taken care of. Ah, you should have brought her to me for safekeeping, too. Remy turned back to the kid, who'd gone still again, except for the eyes. Those never stopped moving. He's a funny little gerbil, isn't he? He reached down and pulled the boy up, then spun him around so the punk could see the 20-year-old wood chipper in the car's headlights. Now, you know why you're here, so I won't quibble on the details, he said. I just need to know one thing from you, and I want you to think real careful about this. You ever tell anyone about this place? Anyone at all? The kid shook his head way more than he needed to. No. Are you real sure about that, son? You wouldn't lie to me, especially now. The head changed direction and went, yes. Remy laughed out loud. You see that? He looks like one of those stupid bobbleheads for your dashboard. He bent his knees to be face to face with the kid and palmed his skull. Then he started rocking it up and down and side to side, laughing the whole time. Yes. No. Yes. Then, just as fast, he twisted the head halfway round with a crisp snap and let the boy fall to the ground like a broken toy. That's it? Break his neck? One of the other two asked. That's what we wanted him alive for? Oh, it's just fine, Remy told them, pushing the accent a little. I got an intuition about this stuff. They both shook their heads like he was some ignorant redneck, which Remy took as a compliment to his acting abilities. Hey, you fellas want to stick around for a drink? I got some good stuff out back. We got to keep moving, said the dark-skinned ghost. Thanks for the offer. Maybe some other time, Denny. Suit yourself. No problema. In truth, there wasn't a drop of alcohol anywhere on the property. The only thing Remy drank besides bottled water, which he bought by the case, was the sun-brewed iced tea he sometimes made from it. Alcohol was poison to the system. He just liked letting these sanctimonious pricks think what they wanted to think about him anyway. They were typical government issue, those two, the way they saw everything and nothing at the same time. If they looked a little closer, they'd know when they were being tested, and what they were up against. One other thing, he added. No more pickups. He prodded the dead boy with his foot. That part ain't been working out so well, you know. I'll do the disposal, starting with him. Agreed. He's all yours. They drove off without even a goodbye wave. Remy waved, then he waited until he couldn't hear the car anymore, and got to work. The kid was just skin and bones, and it didn't take any more cutting to get him ready than it would have for a girl. 2 at the knees, 2 at the hips, 2 at the shoulders, 1 at the neck, then 1 long swipe down the middle of his skinny little torso. It was messier with the knife than it might have been with a chainsaw or an axe, but Remy liked wet work. Always had. Once that was done, it took only about 10 minutes to get the filly flash through the machine and into a plastic bag. It was amazing how light the bags always felt, as if it was something more than just foam and residue that got left behind inside the chipper. He took a shovel and a flashlight from the cabin and threw the bag into a wheelbarrow. Then he started walking into the woods. Didn't matter which way. Wherever this kid landed, he was going to disappear forever. Never to be seen or heard from again, Remy muttered to himself. He bobbled his head up and down and side to side as he walked and started to laugh. No, never. No.
Chapter 21. A loud noise woke me in the middle of the night. Something had fallen and broken downstairs. I was almost sure of it. I looked at the clock, saw it was just after 4:30. Did you hear that? Bree raised her head off the pillow. Hear what? I just woke up. If I'm awake. I was already out of bed and pulling on a pair of sweats. Alex, what is it? I don't know yet. I'll go see. I'll be right back. Everything seemed quiet from where I stopped to listen in the middle of the stairs. I could just see the sky going to blue outside, but it was still dark in the house. Nana? I called in a voice barely louder than a whisper. There was no answer. Bree was up now too, and at the top of the stairs only a few feet away. I'm right here. When I came down into the front hallway, I could see straight back into the kitchen. The refrigerator door was open, and there was just enough light from it that I could see Nana lying on the floor. She wasn't moving. Bree, call 911. Chapter 22. Nana lay there on her side, in her favorite old robe and slippers. The pieces of a mixing bowl were on the floor around her, and her face was contorted, as if she'd been in terrible pain when she fell. Nana, can you hear me? I said as I hurried into the kitchen. I knelt down and felt for her pulse. It was weak, but it was there. My own